Hi there, my name is Toby, and today I want to explain to you about crystals and geometry, and in particular the crystal skulls. These are very famous, everyone knows the story of the crystal skulls, but how do they work? What is the science behind it? No one seems to understand this, and it's quite simple. So I hope to explain it to you today. And I've got a couple of new crystals out that I didn't have before. I've got this giant quartz sphere here, and this is 35 kilograms of quartz. It's massive, very powerful crystal. This is a crystal and a geometry. It's made into a sphere. Very powerful. And on this side I've got a dark one. See if I can bring it round. This is again about 35 kilos, similar weight. This is called healer's gold. It's a combination of magnetite and pyrite, fool's gold. So it's got some gold and it's got some black. It's essentially iron, but again, extremely powerful, and it's formed into this perfect sphere. Geometry and crystal. And that's what the crystal skulls are. The skull is, of course, a geometry, a shape. But what makes it special? It's a particular shape that is the same as a human skull, or an elongated skull, whatever you want. But here's the thing. Human bones, all bones, are crystal. They are organic crystal. They've got a crystalline substance, structure. And they're hollow. Inside is hollow where there's the bone marrow. But the important thing to understand is they are crystalline. And crystal is very interesting. Crystal is the most stable form of matter. You can think of all matter as crystallized ether. The ether is pure fluid. It very mysterious. The ether is chi, the life force, prana. It is spirit, consciousness. That is fluid. But the same energy, the ether, will condense until it becomes physical, and it will eventually crystallize, freeze, get locked in space. And that is material substance, atoms. Once you've got atoms, now you can put atoms together. And when you put atoms together in their most efficient way, their tightest position, where they're just locked in place, you have a crystal. So you can think of crystals as the maximum state of entropy. They've reached their lowest energy state. They're now locked in place, held in position. Nothing will happen to a crystal. It will stay like this forever and ever unless we crush it, or melt it. But left alone, they will stay like this forevermore. They are locked in space, and all the atoms are locked together. They cannot decompose anymore. Now, organic crystals, our skeleton, does decompose. It's not quite the same level of a crystal. It's a more complex molecules involved and a more complex organic structure. But these crystals are perfect. They're locked in place. Now, the interesting thing about a crystal is it resonates. It resonates with sound. But as I've said in this series, sound is energy. It's the same thing. It's a vibration. A vibration, a movement, a disturbance in the ether. And you can have this disturbance on all different levels. The sound, as we know, is vibrating matter, vibrating atoms. Actually, it is kinetics, moving atoms in space. See, if I were to tap this crystal, it doesn't really work, but you can imagine if you resonate this crystal, it will sing like a bell. And you have these crystal singing bowls. The crystal resonates with sound. If you get the right frequency, it will really vibrate, amplify that sound. But that is movement, kinetics. Atoms moving in space. That's still a disturbance of the ether. But you can have different levels of disturbance. So that's a vibration in matter. You can have a vibration in plasma, a vibration in electricity, a vibration in light. And you can have a vibration in etheric energy. Now we're talking spirit, soul, and consciousness, thought energy. So thought energy is the highest level of the ether. And you can have a vibration in thought. It's all the same thing, different densities of the same energy, and a disturbance of that energy, that ether. So crystal, because the atoms are all locked in place, they can't move. Now if you disturb it, they all move. They all work together. And it works with sound, but it also works with light. We know that. I've got light here shining through the crystal. There's another one here that I used to have, this one. All of these, light will resonate through the crystal. But more than that, etheric energy will resonate through the crystal. And thought energy will resonate through the crystal. And that's how the bone structure works. We have a bone structure, it's multi-purpose. It holds our body together, gives us strength. But it's crystalline, remember. Crystalline also means piezoelectric. That means pressure on the crystal, movement or vibration of a crystal creates electricity. It's the same with these things. They're piezoelectric. You vibrate them. You can vibrate them with electricity or physically vibrate them and they will create electricity because it's all the same energy. You're just disturbing the ether and creating different effects. But that means our bones are doing that. Our bones are giving us electricity. When we move, when we do exercise, it's actually creating energy in the bone structure. But more than that, the bones will resonate with etheric energy, with light, also light, etheric energy and thought energy. Our consciousness is flowing through the skeleton. We know the brain, consciousness in the brain, but the brain is in the skull and it also connects to the spinal cord, goes down the spine. Inside the spine, the nervous system connects to the brain, goes down the spine, into the rib cage and into all the bones. Consciousness is going to spread out, resonate with the bone structure. And this particular human shape, this morphology, humanoid morphology that we have, is designed. Now, it's not designed by a creator. Again, I've talked about this before. This is pure mathematics. You see, there is a particular mathematical formula that will describe the humanoid form, and it will solve a particular problem. There's a particular problem, and that is, what is the most efficient geometry or morphology for consciousness, specifically self-aware consciousness, to interact with the material world? What is that the most efficient geometry? There's only going to be one, or there is going to be one most efficient. There are going to be others less efficient, but the most efficient geometry is calculated by mathematics. And that is what we've got. The human body. It's a mathematical solution for consciousness. It's geometry itself. And it's based on bone structure, which is crystal. Then around the crystal, we've got the muscles, the tendons, internal organs, other things going on, other levels to the energy. But now you can start to see how important the crystal skulls were. It was crystal, quartz crystal, so that's a different substance. It's more potent in its resonance. But just like this quartz crystal here is a sphere, now it's also resonating with the geometry of a sphere. That in itself is very powerful geometry. That is the geometry of the universe, a sphere. That is the geometry of a soul. The geometry of consciousness itself is a sphere. It has to be. It's the most efficient geometry for space. Everything collapses into a sphere. It has to, because it's mathematics. There's a question. The question is, what is the most efficient geometry for any substance to be in space? And the answer is a sphere. Mathematics is abstract. This is metaphysics. But it's perfectly real. Not physical. The sphere is not necessarily physical. That's a mathematical concept. It is consciousness itself. So when I create a crystal in a sphere, this is helping to resonate with consciousness. Thought energy. That's why all the psychics have crystal balls. Here's a little one. It will look into the crystal ball. It's a focus for your consciousness, but it's a crystal substance and that is more powerfully resonant. Again, it resonates with sound, it resonates with light, electricity, it resonates with etheric energy and thought energy. It's a resonator because of the atomic structure. Now, if you were to create a skull out of crystal, now it's very interesting because you have formed the crystal into the optimum geometry for a living being, a life form, self-aware. So not only is this crystal, quartz crystal, resonating because of the substance, it's resonating with the morphology of a humanoid. And again, it could be any humanoid, but the original crystal skulls, again, I have to do some research. I'm not sure if anyone has done this, but I suspect if you did the measurement of those skulls, there would be precise proportionality. Not only is it incredible how they made them, because you couldn't carve them today with that precision, but if you measure it, I'm pretty sure you will find the golden ratio proportionality all over it. The size of the skull relative to the jaw, the size of the eye sockets, the nose socket, everything will be in a perfect proportionality. There will be some clever mathematics behind it. You see, we are a living being. We've got an organic skull. In life, we are following the same mathematics, but it's never perfect. Everyone's skull is different. Everyone's body is different. It's still following the design, the perfect mathematics. But the mathematics of the golden ratio, again, it's very interesting. This is infinite mathematics. It means it's never perfect. It's always slightly varied. Nature is never perfect. Everything is slightly different. It has to be. It's always growing, always changing. And only the mathematics of the golden ratio allows this. It's very deep mathematics. I'll leave the links below to another video where I talk about it. But all I'm saying is those crystal skulls will have that mathematics in there. And that will also show they are even cleverer than we think they are. There is some mathematics behind their construction. And there are supposed to be 12 skulls, 13 skulls, one in the middle, 12 around the outside. And the Mayans wrote about this, so this is all known about, and it's to do with energy. But now you can understand what energy? Consciousness energy. You're trying to tap in to the universe, the ultimate ether, pure spirit itself. But you're trying to translate it down into a way that we might understand. So if you create the morphology of a skull, when the consciousness comes into the crystal, it's also resonating with that morphology. And that morphology, remember, is designed for self-awareness. It becomes a little bit more accessible to us. And all the people that have dealt with these crystal skulls, they all share they've got very powerful experiences. You look into the eyes of the skull, you get lost in there, power in there. And actually all of these sculptures, ancient, real sculptures, when they're in their right position of power, everyone who sees them has some odd experience. It's because of the resonance of the etheric energy. They are very powerful technology. It's not religion. It's actually science. But it's a science we don't know, a science of the ether. It's still a spiritual science, the science of consciousness itself. And that is translated through geometry. And a crystal is two-layer geometry. Geometry of the atoms and geometry that you carve it into. But you see, I also use natural geometry. All my things are completely natural. This is a perfect crystal in aquamarine, but it's natural. So I'm selecting natural forms that are close to perfection as possible. Whereas this one, this is a carved one. But again, this is called a Vogel crystal. It has some particular purpose to that geometry, a focusing purpose. The crystal skulls are the same thing. And the numerology, again, goes with the 12 signs of the zodiac. Yeah, but the 12 signs of the zodiac are still deeper than that. It actually goes to the movements of the ether itself. You see, if you look in the Taoist philosophy, that's the clearest one you can see. The universe is singular, but it divides into yin and yang too. There's an interplay now of yin and yang, but that interplay now subdivides into five elements. They all talk about 5 elements. Same energy, it's different movements, different effects, subdivided into 5. But that 5 you can now also divide into 8. In the Tao you have the octagon. That is also feng shui, the 8 sides of the compass, north, south, east, west, northeast, northwest, etc., etc. It's the same energy subdivided in a slightly different way. Again, it's all to do with mathematics. And the 8-sided shape can then also go into 12-sided. So now you've got the 12 sides. But remember, you have the middle. So this is where the 5 elements get confusing. The 5 elements is the cross, 4 directions, but the 5th one is in the middle. See, some esoteric knowledge talks about the 4 elements, but the 5th one will be the middle. It's the center point from which the energy turns, moves around. The balance point. The 0 point. We're talking about in science now. The 0 point. Again, in ether science, some people talk about it as counter space, or the point of inertia. I also talk about it as that. But what I'm saying is all these things are connected to do with mathematics and geometry. And the crystal skulls are to do, again, with perfecting geometry, but perfecting the geometry of life. Humanoid skull. Now, it's very difficult to get one of these. You can buy little crystal skulls. But remember, all these magicians, witchcraft, all these people, they would have skulls, voodoo people. They'd actually collect real skulls, a human skull. Why? It's not to be feared. Even a real skull or an animal skull is crystal, organic crystal. That will still resonate with thought energy. It's not so much that you're connecting to the life of that person, but you're using the skull or the bones as a crystal to resonate with all life, go deeper. And of course, that's why the ancient people, the shaman, they would have their ancestors. You would not even necessarily bury them. You'd have them and let the skeletons be visible. You go and meet your ancestors by looking at the skeleton. Meditate with the skeleton. It's still a crystal resonating with spirit. It's all resonance. And that particular skeleton of your ancestor is exactly the morphology of their body when they had it. It's still connecting their soul to that body to some degree. So you can talk to that ancestor through the skeleton. But you can go further, into all ancestors. It all depends on how you use it. You see, we are all individual masters. We can master the ether. We don't need to be afraid of any of these things. It's all been mystified now. Oh, it's magic. It's dangerous. Yeah, it's energy. You can do different things with energy, good or bad. But now you can understand the crystal skulls. They were built to connect to the vast infinite consciousness, the unconscious mind. You could ask questions, you could get answers. But it was more than that. Here's the big one. This is all to do with collecting and increasing etheric energy, increasing thought energy. spiritual energy, getting more spiritual power. So you can imagine the 12 crystal skulls, with one in the middle. You go and sit in that circle and meditate, you get a lot of power. You tune in. It's not to do with this thing. This thing is just a machine, a tool to connect to the abstract, infinite consciousness, the great spirit. I sometimes call it the great mystery. All questions are answered there. Outside space, outside time. All manifestation comes from there. And if you had these 12 crystal skulls in a place of power on the earth, in a cave, or in a ley line, or in a stone circle, even more power. All to do with resonance, geometry and resonance. And the resonance will be sound. Imagine chanting. If these crystal skulls, again, someone's got to do the testing, but I bet you they resonate with particular notes. They have some really good frequency. Then if you chant, you resonate the crystal with a sound, even more power, and you meditate. But why? Why is to attract energy. Attract energy and you build it into yourself. Remember, you don't need these crystals. I've got them here to show you, but you don't need them. I myself am a crystal skull. I am a crystal skull. See, close your eyes, visualize your skull, crystal. Light coming in, shining inside your head. You build it up. Thought energy building up, power, spiritual power. And let it shine down through your whole skeleton. Light projecting through your skeleton. Visualize it, you'll feel it. So this is the real purpose. All of this was an integrated training, a science, as well as a practice. The ether is very mysterious. We can't understand it now because we're very materialistic. We cannot see beyond the body, beyond this matter. Beyond these crystals, it's not the crystal, it is what I am using the crystal to resonate with. I'm resonating with consciousness. See, I've got a light one and a dark one. You might think, oh, that one's evil. Oh, that one's good. No. Different resonance. It's not the crystal, it's the energy. It's the ether itself. And our body is crystal. So that's what I'm talking about on this channel. How to tune in, feel the energy, feel the chi, the ether, build it up. And it's a spiritual power, a mental power, thought energy itself. And I hope this made sense. Thank you so much for listening. Please do leave me any questions or comments, and I look forward to seeing you in any of these other videos here.